Morning.
Hope everybody's enjoying the summit. My name is Cass Moore. I'm an Ortho Territory Manager out of Boston. This is my first Ortho Summit, so I'm enjoying it a ton. One thing that I'm sure you guys have continued to hear, not just at the summit, but over time, is just the transformation of digital into practices, right? It's something we just continue to hear regardless of where we are. But one thing that I know can be kind of a daunting task is incorporating it into your practice, right? It can be challenging at sometimes. Michelle Jimin is been in the ortho industry since 1990. She's an international lecturer, as a consultant, as a trainer, to successfully incorporate digital into practices. So I'm very excited to hear what she has to say. Looking forward to this presentation. Without further ado, I'll let Michelle come on.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to be with you. Thank you, Cass, for that introduction. And I know we have Lauren here too. Thank you for being here, Lauren. I love walking into the ARIA for these events. I do events all over the world each year, and the summit is actually very near and dear to my heart. I have been able and privileged to participate and contribute to Align Summit since 2014, and we missed you all in 2020, but it feels really good to be back. And actually, I love the smell of walking into the ARIA. It just translates to me really good, fun experiences. I want today, this morning, to really be educational, as Cass said. The digital transformation in orthodontics is happening fast, and it can be confusing. Today, I'm going to arm you with the steps that it will take for you to be able to go into your practice on Monday and know exactly with a playbook, with a blueprint, how you can be the most successful with this. This is the disclaimer slide that I think you're probably seeing at the beginning of every lecture that you have today. These are also the objectives that we're going to go through. Just really talking about how to increase your digital treatment plan percentages and your patient points of contact through digital solutions in your practice. As I said, I'm going to actually give you a playbook and a blueprint for you to know how to take it into your practice. And I'm not here to tell you or show you or demonstrate how to be somebody else or somebody else's practice. I really want you to maximize and be the greatest you. Really understanding your core values, really understanding your desires of growth and patient experience, and fully maximize that. So we're really going to dive into the value of time as well. Time for your patients, time for you, and time for your practice. Team members, that translates to time for you as well. This is the theme with building the value behind these solutions in your practice. We are going to talk about how to increase your digital solution percentages. Whether you're 20%, 30%, 50%, how do we get to 90% and 100%? And what does that translate and mean to you and to your practice? You have heard a lot, as Cass said just a moment ago, the buzzword of digital workflow, digital solutions, digital business models. And during the pandemic, we were thrust into a necessity in providing these solutions just to really even survive and communicating with our patients and with being able to support our patients in a time that we've never experienced before. But what I want to do today is, one, share with you that your patients' expectations and standard of care changed during that time. And you may have gone back to the time before the pandemic and your treatment modalities and solutions, but your patients' expectations and their standard of care has not changed. And they are not going backwards. Digital workflows use technology to create new value in your patient experiences, and it allows us to use innovative tools to truly be able to support what our patients' needs, preferences, and desires are. It provides new opportunities within your practice for your staff to grow and to develop, for you to be strategic and proactive in your business planning, in your business growth, in the direction that you want to head, and allow for the time and the solutions to be able to be implemented. And team members, you're going to get excited about this because I know that a consistent struggle and challenge is having time for everything. And so again, our messaging and my theme this morning is the value of that time. Technology is driving change in our industry, and it's driving rapid change in our industry. I had a friend share with me an analogy one time that really resonated with me, and it was that of catching the wave. Where are you on catching the wave? I spend a lot of time in Hawaii. I love to watch the waves and the water and the surfers. I don't surf, I'm afraid of sharks. So I stay on the beach and I watch them. But I watch how they are laying on their board and they're planning when they're gonna start paddling to be able to catch the wave at the best optimal time to be able to ride that wave all the way ashore. And oftentimes, surfers will start paddling too late, and the wave will pass them by, and they'll miss that opportunity. And the good surfers know to plan ahead and to start paddling before the top of that wave gets to them, and they're able to just have an extremely, hopefully, successful, eventful ride into the shore. So where are you on the wave of change? Are you in your practice going to be the surfer that sees it coming and starts paddling ahead of time to maximize that wave? Or are you going to start paddling too late and miss that wave of change? So that was an analogy that resonated really well with me. This is actually a diagram that is going to show different points on the spectrum of where each of you may be within your practice and your adoption of digital solutions and technology within your practice. You might be a practice that says, nope, that's not a solution for me. This is where I live. I'm going to stay in that analog solution. We're comfortable with it and it's working for us. You may be the individual that hears about and gets excited about potential change in your practice, something that you might dabble in. You might be in the middle of this spectrum. You might see some benefits of it. And then those of you are all in, and you understand the true benefit of adopting 100% digital solutions for your patients. And the benefit it provides your practice, it provides you, your team members, and again, most importantly, your patients. Now, I do want to share with you the most expensive and painful place to live on the spectrum is right in the middle with dabbling. That team members can probably truly understand this. This is where you go back in your practice and you say, hey, we heard about this, we saw this, let's give this a try. Let's try this, implement this. Again, that is the most expensive, painful place to live. So if you see a benefit to anything that you're learning about and hearing this weekend, and it's something that you believe in and you feel that it's the direction for your practice, I challenge you to jump and go all in. You will have learning opportunities through them, which means you'll have some struggle points as to be expected, but you will find and experience the greatest benefit the fastest. And it will end up costing you less pain and less resources in that moment. I'm going to go through with you again the steps and arm you with what that looks like as well, so that you know how to do it when you get back into your practices. I want to take for a moment, most of you lived through Friday nights in the 90s. Some of you may not have. But Friday nights in the 90s, what was that? What did that mean to us? What did we used to wait for and do? TGIF, Full House. Maybe it's older than the 90s. I don't know. I shouldn't date myself. But Blockbuster, right? We'd try to make it to Blockbuster in time to be able to get the new release and not run out from that tangible product that we had to pick up and check out and walk out, right? And God forbid you pick up that empty VHS case or DVD case because they were all out and people had made it there in time or before you. My 23-year-old son cannot even fathom what it is like to not be able to choose any movie at any time from any location he wants at any minute at his fingertips. So this is just an example of how times have changed rapidly. And it's not like they went from this to this, in my example with Blockbuster and our streaming of movies now, but it continues to evolve and change and grow in all solutions to what the consumer or your patient are looking for. As we continue to understand the value points and the why to the benefits of incorporating more digital solutions within your practice, I really want to talk about more pearls and value points so that you can truly believe in the why. I'm going to go into this a little bit as I talk about the new patient exam process and how to take your practice to that next level. But I'm going to say it now. When you believe in something and you're passionate about something to your core, you have the ability to influence. So if you, especially team members, you are very powerful in this process and the success of the practice. If you believe in something and have passion for something, that's what you will exude to your patients. And on the contrary, if you don't believe in something, doctors, listen carefully on this, your team members are the ones that are influencing the success of a process, a service, or a modality to your patients. So truly helping your team members see the value of it is something that's extremely beneficial for the ultimate success in your patient experience. So Glenn Krieger sent out a newsletter one time, and he said that what everybody wants the most of or more of is time. And before you go into changes or implementations, it'll be important for you, as I said in the very beginning, to understand what your core values are and ensure that all of these processes fit into your core values. But the value with your practice is you can have more proactive approach towards your strategy and growth. You can build out your marketing program and your plan. You should have your 2023 spelled out very clearly already ahead of time. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But your patients' time is extremely important. And if you don't see the value in that, or you are one of those providers that say, well, my area is different. Our patients like to come in and see us. Our patients don't like to communicate via text with us. I'm actually going to challenge you and say that that statement becomes more about you than it does about your patients. And I'll share some examples with you. When you have more time and you open up more time in your schedule, you give more time to your team. And we can look at staff development and developing standard operating procedures, training your team members. Right now, it's extremely difficult in our market with hiring and staffing. And if you have not experienced any of those challenges this year in 2022, I commend you. But in the hundreds of orthodontic practices that we work with, I don't have one that's not experiencing a challenge with staffing right now. So if that's not reason enough for you to fully maximize the most efficient time in your practice, I don't know what is, aside from what our patients are now demanding as the standard of care. When I talk about opening up the landscape of our schedule, I'm talking about, let's just, for example, you have the average 4 days of patients that you see. You have a landscape of your available schedule. I really want to encourage and facilitate the most efficiency with that landscape and really understand what it is that you need in the hours in the day, the number of appointments needed that align with what your treatment modalities, your percentages of share of chair, and be strategic with that. Because if you have a slide a little bit through the presentation that will show this with a little better example, but when you look at your 4 days in your template and you say, hey, if we're efficient and we understand how to maximize our time, we can condense it down. And if you don't make those needed changes, you're essentially just allowing our patient care coordinators or our scheduling coordinators to just have a broader range of availability within that landscape of what your template is. And then you have your rush hours and your empty holes in your schedule that are going to proceed through those 4 days. When you condense it, you understand what you need, you condense it to be very purposeful in that process, you open up those opportunities for what I just went through with you, with marketing. how to fully enhance and be strategic about your patient experience, standardizing your training and your development of your team members, and opening up time for your practice and your team members to be able to effectively run through the processes of their reporting, which is extremely important for you to really understand the health of your practice and to arm yourself and your team members to really know where areas of concern are so that you can be proactive in what you're addressing in your practice. What I really want to avoid is being reactive. Reactive to a schedule that has a lot of holes in it. Reactive to a lack of time to do the reporting and accomplish the tasks that we need. Or reactive in getting all of a sudden through Q1 of 2023 and recognizing that we don't have a thorough, effective marketing calendar written and in place. Time with your patients, I think we all see that value. And if you don't see the value or you don't understand the struggles of what it takes for your team to schedule your patients to come into your practice, sit at your front desk at 3:30 in the afternoon and observe your patient care coordinators and the challenge that they have when parents and families can't miss dance, can't miss athletic practices, can't miss school. You kind of want to say, well, where does your orthodontic appointment fit in, right? I have practices that are actually open till 7 p.m. on Sundays, and they still can't make all their patients happy with available appointments. So this becomes your confidence and your training in driving your schedule. I'll just give you a little side pearl. Patient care coordinators, scheduling coordinators, don't ever ask a patient, when would you like to come in? Because you have just opened yourself up to completely under-deliver and underperform to this patient. It should always be, doctor wants to see you the week of December 7th. I have this day at this time or this day at this time. Which works best for you? And if those don't work, go ahead and provide another couple of options. Then it becomes what the patient can't facilitate and make happen, and not what you can't facilitate and make happen. Let's talk about the time for you and the value of what that gives you. As you adopt more digital treatment solutions, you provide growth opportunities within your practice. You can really set your team up to succeed. You can create efficient opportunities and very calculated, strategic, and proactive approaches to the needs within your practice. Your team actually needs more time. And I don't know if there's a practice or a team here that would say, no, we have plenty of time. I know there's a lot of oftentimes young, enthusiastic doctors that are very hungry and work a lot. And I would venture to say that most of you in this room struggle with having enough time. And a lot of your time at night, at 10 o'clock at night or even midnight, is probably often spent in doing ClinChecks, right? And looking at how to maximize the digital solutions available to you. Well, let's talk about what that looks like. Think about whether you are a part of the team, whether you're the doctor and the business owner, whether it's our patients. I want you to think of every responsibility that you have as a bar, a weightlifting bar on the back of your shoulders. And everything, every demand, everything that people are asking of you, or every responsibility that you have, is an added weight on that bar. My goal for you is to be able to give you the solutions to be able to take the weight off of that bar so that you feel relief. You have focus and energy to be able to put that wherever you might want that, whether it is in the growth of your practice or whether it's finding a better work-life balance and enjoying additional hobbies that you might have. I want to be able to provide you solutions that you are able to take your practice and scale your practice as well, and that gives you the choices and the freedom to really proactively drive your practice. So let's talk about the playbook, the start of how you do this. First of all, I've been in orthodontics, I think Cass said, since 1990. I have seen a tremendous evolution in our exam process. We went from 3-step exam processes to now same-day starts in a 1-step exam process. most of you, if not all of you, I would venture to say, has an iTero scanner in your practice. And are you maximizing what that investment has available to you? Are you scanning at every new patient exam? There is no reason why you shouldn't be doing that. And if you aren't doing that right now, you are undervaluing that investment in your scanner. So this allows you to be very efficient in your starts with your patients. This is the first step to a digital workflow and digital business model. Now you actually can generate production when you're not even in the practice. If the patient doesn't start that same day, all they have to do with your treatment coordinator is to be able to have a confirmation over the phone, send a digital contract, they can sign that contract, and you can initiate that digital workflow for the aligners with that patient. The next time they come into your practice, they're starting their treatment with you, bonding their attachments and delivering their aligners. That is efficient. That is where your team can be signing contracts when you're not even in the practice. Wouldn't it be fantastic to be here, learning and collaborating with your colleagues, and you have team members back home that are generating and starting 4, 5, 6 different contracts because they have the time to follow up with their pending, and they have that digital solution available. The other powerful tool to this process in the exam is for doctors, you to prescribe the treatment. I don't want doctors or treatment coordinators to treat the exam process like an interview process. How do we do? Did we get the job? Are you going to choose us? So much of the time, we treat that exam process like an interview process with our patients. What I want you to do is recognize that your patients have an orthodontic problem. And back to the passion that I hope we all feel and I can generate within you, the passion that you should feel and exude to your patients is that you are the greatest solution to their orthodontic problem. You're here to meet their needs very easily and conveniently. So don't treat the exam process like an interview. Prescribe the treatment that's going to be the greatest solution to their orthodontic problem with you as the expert. And then doctors, one of the most powerful tools you can do in the exam process with your TCs is to pass the baton effectively and set your TC up to succeed. First, prescribe the treatment to the patient, and then as you're getting ready to exit the exam, look to the patient and say, do you have any additional clinical questions for me? Nope, everything's great. Excellent. Michelle will go ahead and facilitate your next appointments. Welcome to our family. That's all you have to say. What a powerful way to pass the baton to your treatment coordinator for them to successfully influence the patients to not only choose you, but to choose your recommended treatment modalities. Now, team members, your point is what we call the presumptive close in the exam process. It's imperative that you continue to build on what doctor just did. Doctor prescribed, doctor passed the baton well. Now you take that baton and you proceed into what we call the presumptive close. And when the doctor exits the room, you need to summarize what the recommended treatment is again. So doctor has recommended Invisalign treatment, upper and lower, for 18 months. We have everything we need to get you started. Doctor is going to be doing an extensive digital customized treatment plan for you, and we will have your aligners manufactured. Your next appointment we have available is December 16th at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and that's when we'll start moving your teeth. Which works best for you? The statement, that's when we'll start moving your teeth, is really powerful to the patients because they don't understand what our internal processes are, and it helps to really quantify with that. That appointment will take approximately 40 minutes, and that's when we'll be delivering your aligners and we'll start moving your teeth. So that is the process that's very effective within your exam process with utilizing your digital technology and that digital workflow. I also want to really celebrate Align as your partner and how they have provided a complete integrated suite of solutions and technology and services for you within your practice. Everything from your patient acquisition and marketing opportunities to all of the digital tools available to you through your scanner, through your ClinCheck, your Smile Architect, everything that you have available to use to influence your patients and make your life a lot easier, for you to truly work smarter and not harder. It allows us to also utilize this as an opportunity to demonstrate to our patients the value that we put into technology and convenience and service for them. In addition to all the way through the first point of contact, the patient acquisition and marketing opportunities, the scanning technology that you can utilize to influence and demonstrate to your patient that day what their smile can look like, and all the way through our support and belief in lifetime retention. And that is the insurance policy protecting your patient's investment in their smile. And we have this available to them through our Vivera retainers, again in a very convenient fashion for the patients. This is small. I'm going to blow it up in a couple of slides. This is actually a sample of what a digital workflow might look like in your practice. And again, the next couple of slides, I'm going to blow up a couple of these so you can see it. You can actually also email me and my team, and I'll get you a copy of this. But this is color-coded and assigned per role in your practice. Doctors, you're red. Look at that minimal need and expectation out of you when you have effectively implemented accountability and channels for your team members that allows them to be very accountable to you. And it helps to take those weights off of the bar that we talked about a few minutes ago. As I blow this up, this is going to be the first part of it. And the black is the treatment coordinator. You can see how it moves with your scheduling coordinator to blue, and then to your digital flow coordinator, your digital manager. But look at how clear it is laid out and spelled out. This process, we created this in our team through Lucid. It's an app called Lucid. And I'm actually losing power on my machines here. Sorry. And I'm not a dancer, so I can't entertain you up here. Huh? I'm not a surfer. Oh, I'm sure not a surfer. I was recently out in Maui and I did the paddleboarding, and I laid like this on the board. I couldn't stand up because I didn't want to fall in, right? And then I don't know why on earth do I get watching like the channels of YouTube videos of sharks when I'm getting ready to go lay on the beach? Just like, it messes with my head. Thank you for your patience with this. Andrew, I appreciate your work too, thank you. Okay. Great, thank you for that. So again, if we come back to this, I'm gonna blow up another option of this as well. This is clarity. For every team member, every position in your practice, they know when, they know what, they know how, and we can hold them accountable to that. This is another part of it that's blown up as well. This is including how to manage and when to manage your virtual monitoring with your patients. So you can do this, Lucid, L-U-C-I-D is the program that I like. It's really easy. We use this a lot in our firm with our clients and for our team because it is really clear and it provides the clarity that can deliver the high level of accountability. So as I look to solutions within your practice, one of those needs and changes in how we have grown in staffing needs and solutions is that creating a digital manager on your team. So that can be your digital lab manager, your digital flow manager, your digital manager. This particular individual is going to help facilitate that workflow that I just demonstrated for you. This is the person that's going to be the point of contact that's heading up how successful all of that is so that you don't have any leaks in the bucket of your business or any leaks in the process of patient care. Oftentimes, I would be surprised if somebody in this room had never had a patient show up and, ooh, there are additional aligners where their initial aligners aren't there. Or we've missed a process of communication within our practice. So this is a very valuable position in your practice. This is also a position that allows us to think outside the box in staffing solutions as well. Because this particular position can very easily and conveniently often work remotely within your practice as well. A digital manager supports and manages all of the digital arms or channels within your practice and should be able to assist clinical staff and the treatment coordinator in the patient care. So the thoroughness of that process. Your treatment coordinator is not going to have time to be that person. Your treatment coordinator needs to be facilitating the exams and following up on facilitating all patient care. The digital manager should also be able to, or it's beneficial to have them be able to perform some simple clinical tasks. And when you're looking for an individual to fill this role or this position in your practice, you want to look for somebody that's technologically advanced. Somebody that knows how to use technology comfortable and can live in that space well and can own that. They need to be organized. They need to be self-reliant and self-sufficient, and they need to be accountable. So feedback and growth between communication between you doctors and the digital managers, you develop this coordination or this dance within your practice. So when we talk about how to increase your digital percentages from 20%, 30% to 90%, we have to be able to understand that the processes in your practice are going to facilitate revenue per chair. Whatever process you have, there's a dollar value to every time the patient sits down in your chair. So for any modality, not only, we've talked a lot about the time for the patient and the benefit to that, and the other benefits to your practice, but the dollar value that it takes and that it represents every time a patient sits in your chair. So we have to recognize that and understand. This goes back to the reporting. Do you know what that is? I have a lot of doctors say, well, I'm not busting at the seams, so it doesn't really matter. Well, hopefully you can go back to my discussion a few slides ago in talking about a purposeful schedule landscape, because it does matter. It matters when you aren't efficient in your scheduling and you have a lot of holes in your schedule because you've expanded your landscape wider than it needs to be. So there's value to patients coming in and sitting in your chair. We also recognize that there's value to an increased communication and points of contact with your patients. Just because you're facilitating your patient to sit in your chair less often and less overall, doesn't mean that you're minimizing our communication and education and points of contact with your patients. And actually, on the contrary, through our virtual care and our virtual monitoring, we have the ability to increase that level of communication to over 400%. And I talk about that in a few slides about the benefit of what that provides us. Our patient motivators are changing. They have changed and they're not going backwards. During the pandemic, it really compelled consumers to shift and reevaluate and rethink what was important to them with their self-focus, with their relationships, and in creating, in doing that, it created enormous opportunities for us as business owners to be able to understand what our consumer, what our patient is rethinking, and understand what their needs are, and meet those needs. This is all going to represent the level of success that you achieve as you go into 2023 and beyond within your practice. Where are you on that wave of change? Where are you on the wave of what is happening in our industry? Our patient priorities have shifted and changed. Now we often see, I've always been a huge proponent of a 60-minute exam process. However, we are now seeing that in and of itself changing to where we can be really successful in a 45-minute exam now because our consumer, our patient has changed. They are doing a lot of additional research beforehand, before they've even come into your office. The exam is no longer the opportunity or the time to begin or start your education of who you are and what you provide to your patients. Now they are doing a lot of that ahead of time. Dr. Ben Winters is talking about the opportunity and the importance of your online presence. And that's just one of the channels. that your patients are truly seeking out before they even call your office for a new patient exam. So we want to minimize the time wasted and be very effective in our actions and in the processes that we are looking to provide and accomplish for our patients. This is actually a really interesting study that was done. Accenture actually surveyed more than 25,000 consumers in the healthcare space. So this is a healthcare specific survey. And what the survey told us was that 72% of consumers expected businesses and practices that they did business with or that they chose to pursue to adjust and pivot to their ever-changing needs, desires, and value points. And 50% of those surveyed said they would pay more for that ease and convenience. The survey continued that said 50% of consumers and patients were also disappointed with what they were provided, and that their businesses and practices did not change and provide what they needed in those adoptions. I'm having technical difficulties, sorry. Andrew, this is gone down here. No, that's gone there. So when we look at like working within a broken system, it's like putting a puzzle piece together and missing one puzzle piece. It's important that you have all of the pieces in place and you know what your picture is going to look like when you put all of those pieces in place. If you don't have a clearly defined goal and you don't understand what your final picture is going to look like, you won't fully maximize the capabilities of your investments. You won't be able to have a properly trained, enhanced staff, and we believe that the final piece of that puzzle is what provides you the greatest level to fully maximize the experience of your investments. I talked a lot about, a moment ago, the importance of understanding the why, and the importance mostly of your team understanding the why. I'm thrilled to have doctors and team members with us here today, because oftentimes a doctor will go back into the practice and say, hey, I heard about this, and this is something we're going to incorporate, but the team can't understand it. And remember, the most painful and expensive place to live is in that space of dabbling. And then the team ends up getting frustrated because it's just more work and it's harder, and we end up giving up on that process. So we don't want a lack of commitment from our team members or a lack of enthusiasm to our patients. We really want to generate enthusiasm from our team members so that that's what they exude to your patients. This is actually some data from 2022. Gage is a data-driven company that's extremely valuable. You should be making data-driven decisions in your practice. This is actually information that Gage provided us that we also combined with our active clients. And this demonstrates that average in 2022, bracket patients were seen 20 times. Average of 2022, aligner patients are seen 12 times within their treatment. And aligner patients with virtual monitoring are seen 8 times. Now again, that's not minimizing our level of communication to our patients though. This is the slide that I feel really demonstrates importance to ensuring that the landscape of your schedule is effective. This information is based off of the average practice. If you see 100 patients a day, if you schedule your patients every 4 weeks, 66 out of the 100 of those patients are going to be bracket adjustments or aligner checks. If you schedule your patients every 8 weeks, 49 of those 100 patients are going to be bracket adjustments or aligner check appointments. And if you schedule every 12 weeks, only 38 of those 100 patients that day are going to be your adjustment or aligner check appointments. The reason I put this in here was for you to really be able to visualize how you can open up your schedule by being very efficient without minimizing your points of contact and communication with your patient. This virtual care is what allows us a much higher level of communication with our patients. When we schedule an aligner check appointment, our patients come in for a 10-minute, maybe a 15-minute aligner check appointment where we check their tracking and their compliance and we give them additional aligners. Why do I need my patient to come in for that? Because they're either coming in and I'm giving them a high five and saying, well done, good job, and handing them more aligners, or they're coming in and I'm recognizing they're not compliant or not tracking well, and I am saying we're gonna scan, we're gonna recalibrate and get additional aligners. That's messing up our whole schedule for everybody, including the adjacent patients next to that. And I guarantee you, your clinical team is gonna feel that pain. So to be able to have this communication where your patients can communicate directly through their My Invisalign app to you, your digital coordinator can facilitate what the doctor's messaging and recommendations need to be in that movement, and we get to celebrate and influence a higher level of compliance and support with our patients. When we have virtual care with our patients, we can be very purposeful with the visits that we schedule them for. We're not being reactive and saying, oh, we're not tracking well, what are we gonna do to recalibrate and add more time and chaos to our schedule? We're very purposeful with those visits. We are increasing our communication and celebration with our patients. That in and of itself increases the patient compliance. And we also have the ability to be able to redirect any treatment that we might be getting derailed with a lack of compliance with our patients. An area and an opportunity for you to grow your practice today, outside of, in addition to what we talked about with the new patient exam a moment ago, is to really look at your phase 1 treatments and start educating and building enthusiasm and excitement for your early patients with that virtual care. Help your families see the value and the ease and the convenience in that. I was in a practice that is over a $4 million practice. It's a single doctor, single location practice, and the phones were nearly silent. And I said, do you have a call center? Do you have a call service? No. What they do is they train the patients from day 1 to really understand and see the value in the text communication. And it started in the exam when the patient, the doctor said, I want you to go see an oral surgeon for this. And the TC was at the computer during the clinical findings, and the TC turned around and said, I've already texted you that contact information. All you have to do is click on it, and you can call and schedule that appointment. That is easy and convenient for the patients. That's starting to train them from the beginning. So it is time for you to really revisit what your goals are, what your core values are, and understand if those align with meeting your patients' ever-changing needs and desires. How can you serve your patients better? How can you have more time for your personal life or wherever you want to put your energies? How can you work smarter and not harder and be more efficient and more profitable? And most importantly, the hard question, why are we resistant to change and to technology or improvement in our modalities? Because it's different. That's something that we don't have to be afraid of. And I hope that you leave this weekend feeling energized and enthusiastic and inspired about adopting more of those digital solutions within your practice. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. I really want to thank you and thank, most importantly, Align Technology for the opportunity again to be here with you. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you.